Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2014 NFL Draft Prospect Rankings video. We're taking a look at the running back position. We're going to take a look at my top 10, some small school prospects, and some sleepers, as well as some fullbacks that you want to keep an eye on. Lake Seastrunk out of Baylor is my #1 running back prospect in this year's draft. He's a legit game breaker that shows great inside running skills and the ability to get to the outside and take it the distance. He reminds me a lot of former Oakland Raiders tailback Napoleon Kaufman because of his home run capability. Now, what he has to improve on is keeping his feet moving behind the line of scrimmage. A lot of time he tends to stop and search rather than sift through and search, and once he gets better in that capacity, the sky's the limit for the 5'10", 210-pound speedster. Next up is Storm Johnson out of Central Florida at 6 feet, 215 pounds. Johnson has good all-around game. His vision is where it needs to be, and he has solid lateral quickness along with soft hands as a receiver. His game isn't overly flashy, but it's consistent, and that's what you want to look for in a feature back, and I do believe Johnson has that ability. He has to continue to improve his foot quickness as his feet tend to get heavy at times, causing him to not break tackles and also to get brought down in space. But those are areas of concerns that are fixable with increased dedication to the craft. I think Johnson can be a consistent 1,000-yard rusher at the next level. Ranked third on my list is DeAnthony Thomas out of Oregon, aka the Black Mamba, and what makes Thomas so special is his ability to change direction without losing speed. Thomas also has very underrated inside running ability, and even though he wasn't utilized often in that capacity at Oregon, I think he can be successful at the NFL level. The biggest concern for him and basically every college running back is pass protection. At times he's going to have to stay in and pick up the blitzer, and a lot of that is about effort and want to, so that'll be an ongoing process for him moving forward. But as far as everything else is concerned, I would not have a problem with him as my starting running back. He can hurt you in the running game, the passing game, and also as a kickoff and punt returner. He's not a wide receiver, he's a running back. You don't want to lose the matchup advantage versus a linebacker by moving him to wide out. And remember, Warwick Dunn was 5'9", 178 pounds, and rushed for over 10,000 yards in his pro career, so I think Thomas would do just fine. Trey Mason out of Auburn is a powerfully built spark plug in the mold of Maurice Jones-Drew. Mason's low center of gravity makes him have tremendous balance when he's taking on defenders. He's a valuable asset in the passing game, much more than just swings and screens. You can utilize him in the downfield passing game as well. One aspect of his game you worry about is his need to stop his feet when changing directions. A guy of his stature is supposed to be able to change directions a lot quicker without stopping or jump cutting. And playing that Auburn offense tends to make life easier for running backs as far as vision is concerned, so you have to wonder about his ability pre-line of scrimmage to be able to quote-unquote create his own shot, so to speak, but post-line of scrimmage, he's a fabulous player. Here's an underrated runner in Terrence Cobb out of NAIA's University of the Cumberland at 5'10", 225 pounds. Cobb displays tremendous balance while consistently running with great pad level. And despite coming out of a triple option offense, he shows good vision and excellent broken field running skills. I would also like to see him become much more proficient in the pass pro department. He wasn't asked to do a lot of it in college. However, he was utilized a lot more in the passing game than one would expect coming out of that offense, and he excels in that area. Overall, Cobb reminds me a lot of Frank Gore. Good vision, balance, solid burst, and good receiver out of the backfield. Someone would get themselves a steal if they take a chance on Cobb in this draft. Devonta Freeman out of Florida State is an excellent back that's very explosive. He's a one-cut downhill runner in the mold of Chris Ivory that plays for the New York Jets. In my honest opinion, Freeman would excel in any offense, whether that's a zone blocking scheme or a gap scheme. I would like to see him develop a little bit more patience to the hole, as there are times where he's not allowing the play to develop properly, and a little bit more wiggle so he's not consistently taking hits. But this is a guy that's very solid. I think he can be a starter at the next level. Jeremy Hill has a great feel for the running game. Rarely do you see a 6'2", 235-pound tailback with great patience, footwork, and vision. You can see a little bit of Arian Foster in his game by how he's able to press the hole before accelerating through it. Now, pass protection is much more concerning than normal with Hill because of how disinterested he is in doing so, and you hope that he grows by leaps and bounds in that area so he can stay on the field, because he's a very good receiver, but you can't be a liability on the other side of it. You also want to see Hill fight through arm tackles a lot better and be a little bit more consistent in that aspect of his game. Dre Archer out of Kent State is an explosive playmaker, and you've seen him ranked and rated mostly as a receiver, but I think his home should be at running back. His acceleration is what you want at that position because he, like DeAnthony Thomas, can get to the second level quickly and pull away from defenders. He's an overstrider, which causes him to lose speed when changing direction and also causes him to be knocked off balance. But I like him in the backfield, just like I'm a big fan of Dexter McCluster in the backfield, but we shall see where he's utilized at the next level. But I think his home, again, should be at running back. I'm a big fan of James Wilder Jr. He has natural running skills, and quietly, he's a very underrated receiver that can be used in a downfield passing game. As with many big backs his size, you want to see him make more of an effort to avoid defenders instead of taking them head on. Now, while Wilder hasn't been a feature guy at Florida State, he does have the ability to be a 3-down player at the next level, and I think Wilder could actually end up being the biggest sleeper out this running back class. Tim Flanders out of Sam Houston State has been one of the most productive backs in college football over the last 3 seasons. A shifty and fluid runner, Flanders does a great job in finding the inside running lanes. He reminds me a lot of Ahmad Bradshaw, both the good and the bad. The good is that he's an every down back in my opinion, but the bad would be that because of the way he runs, which is normal for him, his feet doesn't leave the ground, which causes him to get tripped up a lot and also causing a lot of shoestring tackles. So you have to get him working those ropes, get him up a little bit higher, because this guy can be a special player because of his natural running ability. Franklin Quite out of Bloomsburg put together a phenomenal college career, posting 3 2,000-yard seasons and winning the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is the Division II equivalent of the Heisman Trophy. Quite has tremendous vision, and that allows him to play a step ahead of defenders, which is why he was able to rip off a lot of long runs despite not having long speed. He's a very good pass protector, and don't let the 5'9", 205-pound frame fool you. Quite routinely is able to break tackles, and I think he can be this year's Zach Stacy in this year's running back class and be a surprise starter as a rookie. Another super productive runner coming out of the FCS ranks is Towson's Terrence West, and the first thing that you notice about West is his durability and his endurance. And West also possesses excellent pad level, which allows him to break tackles and make cuts with ease. You want to know more about him in the passing game because, as with most volume carry backs, they're not asked to do much in that department. And while West's game isn't overly spectacular, it's consistent and productive, and that bodes well for him moving forward. David Fluellen is another solid all-around player that's one heck of a receiver out of the backfield that showcased soft, natural hands while at Toledo. His fluidity is also very impressive for a guy that's 5'11", 225 pounds. Now, where you have some concerns about Fluellen is with his injuries. He's been a little banged up over the course of his career. Nothing serious, but nagging injuries which could put him in a complementary role and not as a feature back. But if you want a one-cut downhill productive runner, then David Fluellen out of Toledo is definitely your guy. Ohio State's Carlos Hyde is your classic Big Ten bruiser at 6 feet, 235 pounds. Hyde displayed excellent bursts this season, rushing for over 1,500 yards. Where Hyde is most effective is inside the tackle box. While he's strong and breaks a lot of tackles, the lack of elite agility causes him to take a lot of hits. And also, because of this offense they run at Ohio State, you wonder about his ability to create pre-snap. Where there is no predetermined lane, you wonder if he's going to struggle at the next level. But as an NFL runner, I think he's more of the closer type that can carve out a long, lengthy career in that capacity. Bishop Sankey has been one of the best running backs in college football over the last 2 seasons, and Sankey reminds me of Pierre Thomas of the New Orleans Saints, meaning that his game won't wow you, but you're always seeing him consistently move the chains. And why I have him graded out as a 5th-round prospect is mainly due to his overall average skill set. That's vision, acceleration, balance. They're all decent, not spectacular, but I do believe he can be successful at the next level. I think he'd be an ideal zone running back because of his ability to make one cut, get downhill, and also his receiving skills can give your offense an added dimension. Now, here are some good solid value backs to look out for, starting with UNLV's Tim Cornette, who's a very shifty runner whose feet never stop moving and is also a very solid pass protector who helped lead the Running Rebels back to a bowl game for the first time in 13 seasons. Arizona's Kadeem Carey was the nation's leading rusher 2 seasons ago and displays great acceleration. I like to see him play with better pad level, and because of the Wildcats' offensive attack, he's a little behind in the vision department, which is why I have him graded here, but a sound running back nonetheless. And Darren Reeves out of UAB was a surprising early entry, but make no bones about it, he's a pretty good running back in the mold of Chester Taylor, who played for the Minnesota Vikings and Baltimore Ravens. I believe Reeves can be a feature back at the next level if he can improve in blitz pickup, but the talent is definitely there for him to succeed, as he was one of the top high school running backs in the state of Alabama his senior season. Another early entry is Colorado State's Capri Bibbs, who put together a fine 2014 season, leading the Rams in rushing with over 1,700 yards. Bibbs is a pick and slide runner with good acceleration. Now, the biggest worry is the 1 year of production label, because he only played 1 season at the FBS level after playing at 2 different junior colleges. So you want to see if he has that consistency to maintain this level of production. Boston College's Andre Williams is a big bruising running back that led the nation in rushing this year with over 2,100 yards. And while you love his ability to stay upright for a full season and take the punishment, you want to see him evade more defenders and become much more of a complete back by being a better receiver out of the backfield. I like his power, but he's a little too one-dimensional for my liking to rank him even higher. Jerome Smith out of Syracuse reminds me a lot of the 49ers' Anthony Dixon in the sense that he's a one-cut runner with surprising burst and acceleration, but he could also end up playing fullback at the next level. I think that's probably where he's going to be better suited to play on Sundays. Next up, we have some dual threat backs that you want to watch out for. And Charles Sims out of West Virginia, I was very impressed with him down at the Senior Bowl with this pass protection. We knew he could run the football. We knew he can catch it out of the backfield. But I was highly impressed with how well he was able to pick up the blitz and excelled in linebacker versus running back drill. So I think this is a guy that definitely can play on all three downs, but I think he's better suited in a complementary role. Trey Watts out of Tulsa is a guy that can excel in three facets of the game: running the football, catching it out of the backfield, and also as a kickoff and punt returner. He did all three very well at Tulsa, and I think he compares favorably to Shane Vereen that plays for the New England Patriots. You can flex him out wide and be comfortable with him going out on a route versus a linebacker, safety, or even a cornerback. There's a lot to like about Antonio Andrews out of Western Kentucky. Here's a guy that was a very productive player for the Hilltoppers all 4 seasons. I think progressing to the next level, his running skills right now are decent. They're adequate, but I think his receiving skills is going to give him an opportunity to stick for a long time in the National Football League. And Marion Grice out of Arizona State is probably a better receiver than he is a running back, but definitely has the skills to run inside. They utilize him all over the formation out there in Tempe, and progressing to the next level, I think he's probably going to be one of those guys that later on in his pro career will end up as a full-time receiver because his receiving skills are top-notch. Alabama State's Isaiah Crowell is a former Georgia Bulldog who transferred down and put up some productive seasons for the Hornets, and Crowell is actually much more explosive now than he was as a freshman when he burst onto the scene for Georgia, and the way he explodes through arm tackles reminds me a lot of the Patriots running back Stephen Ridley. Patience as a runner is going to be key, is where you want to see him develop more as a professional, because right now too many times you're seeing him beat blockers to the punch, which ultimately causes him to leave yards on the field. Dylan Baxter out of Baker started his career at USC, and what he brings to the table is excellent versatility with his receiving skills and the ability to consistently make the first guy miss. Baxter's main knocks are his pad level and his pass protection. Right now he's a 5'11 guy that plays like he's 6'2". He'd be much more explosive once that element of his game improves. Jerick McKinnon was an option quarterback at Georgia Southern, but started to play a little bit more in the backfield late in the season because of injuries and performed quite well. And even at the Senior Bowl, you can make a case that he was the best back in attendance because of his vision and acceleration. Obviously, moving from quarterback, you know his pass protection isn't where it needs to be, and that's where he's going to have to get better at the next level. And I'm a big fan of Zach Bowman out of Northern Arizona. Here's a guy that showcased great lateral agility and acceleration throughout the course of his career. And also at the East-West Shrine game against other top performers, he was outstanding. I want to see him show more patience with his inside running and not be too quick to bounce things outside. I think his early contribution at the next level will come as a kickoff returner or a return specialist. Former Maryland running back DJ Adams out of Portland State rounds out my small school prospect list, and Adams basically was a short yardage goal line back at Maryland, but while at Portland State became much more of a complete player, showing the ability to rip off long runs and also pick up the blitz. So keep an eye on Adams moving forward. I think this guy could surprise, get into a camp, and make a roster on the final 53. Trey Millard out of Oklahoma is my #1 fullback prospect. Reminds me a lot of John L. Williams that used to play for the Seahawks. He's versatile. He can be a one-back runner in certain situations and also has the solid receiving skills that you want out of a fullback in this day and age. He's coming off an ACL injury, so you want to see if he's going to check out medically moving forward. But when you look at his tape and what he did at Oklahoma, bruising runner, outstanding blocker, and again, valuable receiver, could also be an H-back if you want him to be. That's what he brings to the table, which is why I think this guy is definitely worth a 4th round selection. J.C. Copeland out of LSU is your classic fullback at 5'11", 280 pounds, a devastating lead blocker, but shows surprisingly quick feet and soft hands. That's why he reminds me a lot of Craig Ironhead Hayward that played for the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and also the Chicago Bears. You can actually utilize him as your situational goal line, short yardage running back, a la Mike Tolbert that plays for the Carolina Panthers. So there's a lot you can do with J.C. Copeland, who actually embraces the role of the fullback, wants to get out there and hit people, and you want guys like that on your football team that enjoys playing the game. And I think that's why Copeland can carve out a long career at the next level. And here's some of the other top fullback prospects in this draft. Jay Proche out of Auburn, 6'1", 256, was a key cog to the Tigers' running game. And Ryan Hewitt out of Stanford, a guy that also can double as an H-back tight end type. You can utilize him a lot more in the intermediate passing game. And Lorenzo Taliaferro out of Coastal Carolina, top tailback at that level, the FCS level. But I think he's better suited as a fullback, a guy that's a little stiff, a little limited in his lateral agility, but will be perfect as a fullback, a versatile fullback. So I think that's where he's better suited to play at the next level. Now here are my final 2014 NFL Draft prospect rankings for the running back position, and as you can see, they are color-coded by round grade that I'm giving these prospects, and there's only one first-round graded running back this year, and that's Lake Seastrunk out of Baylor, 5'10", 210 pounds. Now there's two other guys that flirted with first-round grades, that's Storm Johnson and Anthony Thomas. They were right there on the brink, but they graded out as second-round prospects. Terrence Cobb tops off my third-round graded running backs at the position, although guys in this third and fourth round I think can end up being starters at the next level. So there's a lot of deep talent in this draft at the running back position. And when you look at 16 through 30, these are guys that have graded out as 5th round, 6th round, and 7th round prospects. Still a lot of great names and talent on this list. And quite honestly, I wouldn't be upset if any one of these guys were starting running backs on my football team. I think this is a great draft for running backs, a deep class. You look all the way down in the 5th round, you're getting a guy like Kadeem Carey or a guy like Capri Bibbs. In the 6th round, Isaiah Crowell out of Alabama State. In the 7th round, a lot of versatile talent with Marion Grice, Dylan Baxter, Jarek McKinnon, even DJ Adams. So I think this is a great year for running backs. So whether or not you need a starter or depth guys, you'll come out fine if you're drafting, because again, these are guys that I feel as though are the best 30 in the country.